Quick. Cutest couple of words.
Hi, good morning guys. Bonjour, Paris.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Let me ask you something. Have you ever thought to yourself that you're nothing miraculous, that you've done nothing miraculous, that maybe you fall short, you've done nothing great and exciting for your life that might gain you a particular type of accolade or established accomplishments or maybe a name for yourself? Do you sometimes just feel like you've fallen short, that you've done nothing miraculous? Maybe you're like myself and you always press upon yourself a lot of conviction because you haven't done great things in your faith, or maybe you're not where you thought you'd be with your faith, or how you haven't performed a miracle or seen somebody healed or given a word or something like that you haven't felt maybe empowered by one of the gifts. What if I were to tell you that doing the miraculous or doing a miracle isn't the thing that defines you as a Christian, or isn't the thing that's preventing you from being a good or a great Christian? That it isn't miracles that is what's going to push you over that edge to be something, somebody, or someone. What if I were to tell you that you have a lot more in common with John the Baptist than you might think? What do you mean that I have a whole lot in common with John the Baptist? I was reading and going over my studies and I came to John chapter 10 verse 41, and it was where the disciples were coming to the Jordan River to cross it, and they stopped for a moment and they paused and they thought, here we are at the Jordan. How is it that John the Baptist has such a big and broad name and so well known when he hasn't done the miraculous? When John the Baptist hasn't performed any miracles? Which it's true. You can go through all of the New Testament if you want. You're not going to see any reference to John actually performing any miracles. Yet you see mention and mention time and time again of him in the scriptures. You see time and time again a mention of how much that he carries behind him in the faith, and how he's mentioned so greatly and uplifted by Christ himself. Because remember, John the Baptist, i.e. his name, baptizing those that would come to him and repenting, and then Christ came to him and Christ was baptized and then set Christ on his journey through his ministry. Yet he didn't perform any miracles. Yet we see the disciples saying there wasn't anything exactly miraculous that we find with John the Baptist. Funny, isn't it? You have a whole lot in common than you think with John the Baptist. So I'm going to ask you right now to put aside those things that you've been telling yourself in your mind, that I haven't done this yet in the faith. I haven't performed this miracle yet in the faith. I spend a lot of times with friends in the faith that are saying, I just want to be able to see somebody healed. I just want to be able to see signs and wonders come through in fruition and from in my faith. Now, I'm not saying that those things aren't great and those aren't some things that you should be excited about in your faith. But what I am saying is, don't press upon yourself great conviction if you haven't seen those things come about in your faith. You are doing yourself a great just service in your faith by saying, I'm not that good of a Christian because I haven't done this miraculous thing in my faith. I'm not this great of a Christian because I haven't performed this type of a miracle. That's not it at all. So then what it is that Christ is looking for us in our faith and from our faith, for him to be held in high esteem, if you will, or for you to be held in high esteem, if you will. Because here's the thing. You can be true. You can show self-control. You can be courageous with your faith. You can be passionate with your faith and still not perform a miracle. Still not think of yourself as miraculous. Yet these are all qualities that one of the greatest founders of our faith held, which is John the Baptist. Now, this does not make excuses for us not to want to grow in our faith or go from grace to grace or push ourselves outside of our comfort zone. No, what I think we'll find is that this might make us more apt to do the miraculous, more apt to see miracles done by our hands. Because what happens is, if you're like myself, we beat ourselves up and then it pushes us away from those miracles. It pushes us away from the opportunities to pray with somebody. It pushes us away from the opportunities to do things that Christ said is what we should be doing, or what makes us stand out, or what actually makes us miraculous. Because a lot of times we get the miraculous and the miracles and it thinks it has to be this shining spotlight. Oh, that's only reserved and saved for the pastor. It's only reserved and saved for so-and-so, not for me and not for my faith. That isn't true. So stop telling yourself you don't measure up. Because again, like I mentioned, these things were determining factors with John the Baptist. And we all know that he is a great person and founder of the faith, and receives Christ's blessing and approval in John chapter 10 that I'm referring to. And let me also speak to this. Don't let others look upon you like you don't measure up. Like we see the disciples getting here, saying, John didn't perform miracles. John didn't do the miraculous. And we might find this within the church where some people will come to you and say, well, who are you? You better tell them I'm a child of God. When they come to you and say, well, who are you? And you can remind them that I am called. And when they say, well, who are you? Son of the King. Who are you? Daughter of the King. So don't let anyone say that you don't measure up. It's things like this that point us to they say. Because that's what we have here in this moment. So don't let the they sayers push you away from acting in your faith, feeling confident in your faith, feeling courageous in your faith, feeling passionate in your faith, being true to your faith. Don't let the they sayers remove you from that. This seems to be such a backhanded compliment almost. And the reason why it seems like a backhanded compliment is because the disciples mentioned, oh, great of many people had followed him, but he didn't do this. Oh, that he was a great man, but he didn't do this. Let us be careful to not push ourselves into these subcategories of accomplishments that Christ isn't looking for, or that we put ourselves on a pedestal, or that we think we're doing the Lord's work, and it's not so. Let us not be attached to these group of people. Because who are these people? Christ talked about these people in Matthew 7, where they come to him and say, Lord, Lord, did we not cast out demons in your name? Lord, Lord, did we not feed the hungry in your name? Lord, Lord, did we not heal in your name? Lord, Lord, did we not do the miraculous in your name? Lord, Lord, did we not do miracles in your name? And what is Christ's response to those exact and same people? Go away from me because I knew you not. Whoo! Crazy to think that we can get so wrapped up and caught up in the miraculous and miracles and doing, and still get to the point where we come face to face with Christ and he looks at us and says, who are you? I don't know you. So we know that we can't get wrapped up in these things, because people can do all types of great things and say they're doing it in the name of the Lord and still be very, very far away from him. So then, let you think about this and ask you a question. Have you ever seen Christ solely put somebody in a place of power and position based on them doing the miraculous and miracles? Oh wait. Let me present to you an example. Peter, or any other disciple for that moment. But for the most part, we think of Peter as what? A person that just didn't always seem to get it right. Always thought that he had the right answer. Always thought that he was headed in the right direction. And many times and times again that Christ corrects him. Christ points him in the right direction and the right path. Yet he is the one that Christ built the church on. And you would look at his resume and you would think, not qualified. Too many failures. Hasn't done enough for the miraculous or the miracles. Yet, the church was founded on that rock. And yet we see that miracles and the miraculous isn't the thing that is the placeholder for you in your faith. That it shouldn't be the end-all, be-all. The top of your charted goal to have to say, I finally made it in Christianity. I'm going to let you know something. There isn't such a thing. You're always going to be striving and pushing to be better than you were yesterday. And the only way that can be done is in and through Christ. And you could do a miracle one day and the next day completely miss it. And we again see that happen time and time again with the disciples. So nothing's going to make you different and nothing's going to set you necessarily apart. But what are some of the things that we should be doing in our faith then. So what then qualities should we be finding in ourselves? What great qualities then should we be finding within our own faith and Christianity? What is it that God esteems? I point you to 1 Peter. God does what? God seeks out a meek and humble spirit to be within us. So we see this sign that this is something that God is looking to be in us, to be meek and to be humble. Again, that's in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 4. What is something else that the Lord is looking to see within us? The Lord loves a cheerful giver. We've all heard that said before when that offering plate goes around. What else is it that we can look to that Christ is looking within us? For instance, Matthew 19, verse 30 talks about not being the first, because the first shall be made last and the last shall be made first. Let us try to be able to position ourselves that we don't think too highly of ourselves and push ourselves to the front of everything, the forefront of everything. Because those aren't the ones that are going to be inherent in the kingdom. You can look at Matthew chapter 7 as well, where they're talking about the Sermon on the Mount and the different qualities that are found in the believer and those that are kingdom-minded and the Beatitudes. So let us not get lost in performing the miracles. Wasn't it not said that I could be doing all these different things in the name of the Lord, but if I don't have love, then I'm just a crashing gong. You're just this annoying sound in the Lord's ear when you're saying, look, 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 I do, makes me look good. It's all for you, Lord. No, that's just just that little gnat at the barbecue flying around the Lord. You lost it. You have no love. You're not a cheerful giver. You're not meek. You don't have a humble heart. You're not putting others before you. But yeah, you've done some miracles. You've done some wonders and some signs. You've cast out some demons. But who are you? I don't know you. Dangerous thought. Dangerous place to be for Christians. So let us not get caught up in thinking, I have to do the miraculous to be a good Christian. I have to do miracles, and then I finally made it in my faith. Would you step to John the Baptist and say, you never made it, bro. Never showed up. You never arrived. Yeah, we know that you did have a lot of people following you. We know that you did baptize Jesus. Didn't perform miracles. Didn't do the miraculous. Wow. To be so bold to say that we could say something to somebody else like that. The Word of God tells us what is true Christianity. And what is it? Taking care of the poor, feeding the hungry, taking care of the widows, taking care of the poor. It says that this is true religion. Didn't say in there the miracles, the miraculous. Now let me share something with you. Clothing the poor, feeding the hungry, being there for the widow, being there for the orphan. To them, that is a miracle. To them, that is miraculous. So whether you might not see that moment or a levitating moment where you healed or did something that made you feel like it was out of this world, to that individual, to that widow, that was out of this world. To that orphan, that was out of this world. Let's not get so wrapped up in things that haven't even been defined as true religion. Things that aren't always the marker of a great Christian. Let's not continually put ourselves down because we haven't seen ourselves do this, or this yet in our faith. Because those become roadblocks. Those become deterrents from you to be able to move forward in your faith. So I'm praying for you, fam. I'm praying for you to grab a hold of true religion and do the miraculous for that widow, perform that miracle for that orphan. And that you don't do this for your own glory, for your own self, but you develop a meek and humble heart. That I pray that over that myself as well, that I develop a meek and humble heart. That I serve without thinking subconsciously or thinking consciously that this needs to be seen, that this should be placing me on the Richter scale to be noticed. Because the last thing I want for you and for me is to make it all the way through this race in our faith and get before the Lord and feel great about all the things that we did, and all he does is say, "Who are you?"